Welcome back to another in our series of great chapters in the Bible. Our chapter today comes from the Old Testament book of Song of Solomon. Chapter 2, Rose of Sharon. I am a rose of Sharon, a lily of the valleys. As a lily among brambles, so is my love among the young women. As an apple tree among the trees of the forest, so is my beloved among the young men. With great delight I sat in his shadow, and his fruit was sweet to my taste. He brought me to the banqueting house, and his banner over me was love. Sustain me with raisins, refresh me with apples, for I am sick with love. His left hand is under my head, and his right hand embraces me. I adjure you, O daughters of Jerusalem, by the gazelles or the does of the field, that you not stir up or awaken love until it pleases. The voice of my beloved, behold, he comes leaping over the mountains, bounding over the hills. My beloved is like a gazelle or a young stag. Behold, there he stands behind our wall, gazing through the windows, looking through the lattice. My beloved speaks and says to me, Arise, my love, my beautiful one, and come away. For behold, the winter is past, the rain is over and gone, the flowers appear on the earth, the time of singing has come, and the voice of the turtle dove is heard in our land. The fig tree ripens its figs, and the vines are in blossom. They give forth fragrance. Arise, my love, my beautiful one, and come away. O my dove, in the clefts of the rock, in the crannies of the cliff, let me see your face, let me hear your voice, for your voice is sweet and your face is lovely. Catch the foxes for us, the little foxes that spoil the vineyards, for our vineyards are in blossom. My beloved is mine, and I am his. He grazes among the lilies, until the day breeze and the shadows flee. Turn, my beloved, be like a gazelle or a young stag on cleft mountains. I've been more than a little fascinated at the origin of phrases in our English language. For instance, the term bite the bullet was a phrase from times when anesthesia was in short supply. So doctors told their patients to bite down on a bullet to take their mind off the pain of the procedure. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater came from a time when the entire family would bathe in the same water, and the baby, being the last, went into the water so filthy that one had to be careful when throwing out the water that the baby was not still in it. It is equally surprising how many of our modern terms have come from the Bible. For instance, someone says to beware of a wolf in sheep's clothing. That's a phrase that Jesus used in Matthew chapter 7 and verse 15. Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravenous wolves. Or going the extra mile, another phrase that Jesus used, Matthew chapter 5 and verse 41. And whoever compels you to go 1 mile, go with him 2. We talk of a fly in the ointment, a term Solomon used in Ecclesiastes 10:1. Dead flies make the perfumer's ointment give off a stench, so a little folly outweighs wisdom and honor. Our chapter today begins with, I am a rose of Sharon, a lily of the valley. The Rose of Sharon. That sounded so familiar. Then I remembered John Steinbeck's epic novel, The Grapes of Wrath. In it, the character Tom Joad's sister is called Rosa Sharon. It's the combination of the accent of Oklahoma and the implied simple lives with little education that causes that name to be slurred into one word. But in reality, she gets her name from this passage in the Song of Solomon. Her given name is Rose of Sharon. Who knows how many people without a knowledge of the Bible have overlooked such a small detail of that Joad family who have a heritage of religious upbringing, having a family with names like Noah and Thomas, John and Ruthie, as well as Rosa Sharon. At first glance, one reads this extraordinary book or poem or love song with a bit of shyness, having references to love and affection that goes well beyond holding hands and longing gazes. In fact, many have treated this canticle, as it's called in some circles, with hands off for young prying eyes, thinking it a little too graphic for the likes of adolescents. Yet others have read into this love song visions of the coming Messiah with his bride, the church. It is not seen in this light by the Hebrew scholars of old because of the mystery, as Paul calls the gospel age. It had not yet been revealed. But Paul is quite plain spoken about this relationship in his letters, especially in the letter to the Ephesians. Ephesians 5:31 through 32, in which we read, "Therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh." This mystery is profound, and I'm saying that it refers to Christ and the church. And so does Christ refer to the church in this way. Consider the passage from Revelation chapter 19, verses 7 through 8. "Let us rejoice and exult and give him the glory, for the marriage of the Lamb has come, and his bride has made herself ready. It was granted her to clothe herself with fine linen, bright and pure, for the fine linen is the righteous deeds of the saints." I might add that not all scholars and commentators relate this canticle as one which is messianic in nature, but one that speaks only of the relationship of a man and a woman in marriage. And that's fine. For so it does give us a glimpse into Solomon's married life. Our chapter today is a continuation of a dialogue between a man and woman begun in the first chapter. I've outlined each part of the dialogue with different colors in my own Bible, so I can tell when one ends and the other begins. That makes it handy for me. For in this poem there are several characters besides Solomon and his bride. There are the daughters of Jerusalem, sometimes referred to as the others. And here's a verse that gives their occasional contribution. Chapter 1 and verse 11. "We will make for you ornaments of gold studded with silver." God also narrates at times. In chapter 3 and verse 6, here's his contribution. "What is that coming up from the wilderness like columns of smoke, perfumed with myrrh and frankincense, with all the fragrant powders of a merchant?" Well, back to our chapter. The entirety of this chapter concerns itself with the absolute joy of love. You know, that love that abounds in springtime. In fact, that comes out in these verses as the bride addresses her love in verses 10 through 13. "My beloved speaks and says to me, 'Arise, my love, my beautiful one, and come away. For behold, the winter is past, the rain is over and gone, the flowers appear on the earth, the time of singing has come, and the voice of the turtle dove is heard in our land. The fig tree ripens its figs, and the vines are in blossom. They give forth fragrance. Arise, my love, my beautiful one, and come away." You might recall from our look at the life of David, the warrior king, that springtime was a time when kings went out to war, 2 Samuel 11:1. But not so with Solomon. For God declared that he would be a king of peace. 1 Chronicles 22 and 9 says, "Behold, a son shall be born to you, who shall be a man of rest. I will give him rest from all his surrounding enemies. For his name shall be Solomon, and I will give peace and quiet to Israel in his days." What a wonderful dialogue of love between these two. It is one that many a couple has had in their blossoming time of love, but sadly one that did not continue. Yet secretly, many long for the simpler times of peace that they shared once upon a time. They yearn for the time before those little foxes came and spoiled the vineyard. Does reading the Song of Solomon make you long for those days when the banner over your marriage was love? Lord willing, let's meet here again tomorrow and look at another great chapter in the Bible.